Hi there, everyone. My name is Christian Eschbach, and welcome to another one of my album reviews. And this time we're looking at the Yardbirds Birdland. First off, let's just start with the album work. I do like that. I think it was pretty cool and pretty neat. This album was released in 2003? Yeah, 2003. It is the fifth studio album from the Yardbirds, but it's not the original Yardbirds entirely. It's some of the original Yardbirds. This is when the Yardbirds were reconstituted. Um, Original drummer Jim McCarty and rhythm guitarist Chris Dreja. I'm not sure which way that J is said, sorry. They reformed the group in '94, and for this album, they included bassist John Iden, who is from Detroit, best known for working with the Yardbirds in his own band, the John Iden Group. Honestly, I've never heard of him. Jippy Mayo, and playing with Dr. Feelgood from 1977 to 1981. And then, with the Yardbirds here. And then Alan Glenn, who's a harmonica player. Oh, Jippy Mayo was the lead guitarist, and the harmonica player is Alan Glenn. And then they also had special contributions from Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, Slash, Brian May, and Jeff Beck, who was originally at one point in the Yardbirds. The Yardbirds, for those that don't know the Yardbirds, if you just happen to stumble across this video, the Yardbirds were huge in the 60s, major inspiration. I've actually talked about a lot of the songs on this album on other albums, whether it be Rush or Aerosmith. Have I mentioned them with Aerosmith? Oh, I don't know. Good question. Anyways, I'll get into that as I go here. Okay. What I'm trying to get at is this was kind of like the band. This band is famous because Jimmy Page of Led Zeppelin started in the Yardbirds. Eric Clapton started in the Yardbirds, or at least at one point was in the Yardbirds. Jeff Beck, Yardbirds. So, and they were all the lead guitarists at different points in the Yardbirds. I don't think any of them were in there at the same time. So this album, it had, what is it? It's 15 songs. 7 songs are remakes of originals and from the Yardbirds, and 8 of them are new. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't know the Yardbirds well enough. This is to this day the only Yardbirds album I actually own. And I bought it because I thought it was a cool idea for an album. What the hell? But that I know for sure, I believe I'm Not Talking is an old Yardbirds song. It might be a cover from somebody else. I'm not 100% sure here. Let me take a quick check. Yeah, okay, so that was written. I'm Not Talking was written by Moses Allison, who is not listed as having any connection to the Yardbirds, so that I guess would be a new cover that they did. Crying Out for Love, Jim McCarty. Crying Out for Love, I actually enjoy this tune. I'm Not Talking is not bad either. It really fits in with this album and kind of gets the vibe going. Crying Out for Love's not bad. I don't mind it at all. I kind of get into it. I don't know if it's necessarily like a song that belongs up there with like some of the classics, but it does belong in there. The Nas Are Blue follows that up. That is one of the original band songs that was redone on here. I do know that the Nas I don't. The term the Naz I know best from Alice Cooper, and that is due to that was one of the names of the band at one time until they found out that I think it was Todd Rundgren was running a band called the Naz as well at the time. It may have been someone else. I'm not 100% sure. So Alice Cooper stopped using it, and that's when they switched over to, I want to say, the Spiders at that point. I don't remember exactly the order on that one right now. Anyways, not the point. So the word the Naz has definitely been an influence to other people. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, doesn't really have like a real meaning that I'm aware of. The next song after that is yet another cover. This is a song written by Graham Keith Goldman, best known for being in 10cc. And this song is For Your Love. I've heard this song a million times. I guarantee other people have heard it. Probably the original version. For your love, baby. I can't remember the rest of the words. It's one of those definitely great 60s songs, though. Mid to late 60s songs. Got that great warmth to it. I dig this song. I love cranking it when it's on. Please don't tell me about the news. I believe that's one of the newer songs. And it's a good tune. I enjoy it. I really get into it. I don't mind it at all. I think it's quite. The beauty of this album, I think, is by mixing in some of the old songs with some of these new songs, especially for new listeners like myself, you really don't necessarily know which ones are which, you know? After that, we get into Train Kept a Rollin'. Yes, this is the classic Train Kept a Rollin' all night long. Train kept a rollin' all night long. I give a week and a hoe. I just couldn't tell her so. Ow, ow, ow. Okay, so most people, not all people, a lot of people will think of the Yardbirds because they originally did it. But most people usually think of and even then, the Yardbirds are not the original. It was actually original jazz musician group that put it together. I don't know who it is. The names are Tiny Bradshaw, Lois Mann, and Howie K. And anyways, Train Kept It Rolling. Most people know it for Aerosmith. Yardbirds did it before Aerosmith, which is where everybody else got it from, was from the Yardbirds, basically. And I believe I've got one or two other bands that do a version of Train Kept It Rolling. Train Kept It Rolling is just a really good tune. And this is one of the tracks that features Satriani on it. You know, so that's pretty cool to hear Satriani kind of doing the leads in that. And speaking of Aerosmith and leads, most people think it's Joe Perry doing the leads, or they might be thinking it's Brad Whitford. It was neither. It was actually Dick Wagner that did the leads on Train Kept a Rollin' on the Aerosmith original studio album version. Just a little tidbit for anybody that didn't know. And then we get into Mr. Saboteur. Now, I do want to point out that the first three songs are okay, but they just kind of warm up the album for me. For Your Love is where the album starts getting really good. Don't Tell Me About the News keeps the album going really well. Train Kept It Rolling keeps it going great. Then you're on to Mr. Saboteur, which is also an old tune. Great song. I love this song, man. I think this is one of those songs that definitely is very underrated, and I'm surprised it hasn't been covered by more bands, because it's a really, really good tune. Then you get to Shape of Things. And Shape of Things is really kick-ass. Rush. I covered this when I did Rush's Feedback album. And I may have done this with the Ramones too, I think, possibly. I don't remember. I know I definitely covered it when I covered Rush's Feedback. Shape of Things, it's one of those really good fun songs. Good, uplifting, gets you moving and grooving. Then we hit My Blind Life. I believe this is one of the new tunes. I enjoy it, especially going in this run of songs. Really, really good and enjoyable song. Then we hit one of the older ones, Over, Under, Sideways, Down. Now, I did not realize that this was one of the older songs. Oh, and I should mention, okay, Shape of Things, that had Steve Vai on it. My Blind Life had Jeff Beck on it. And the next song, Over, Under, Sideways, Down, has Slash on it. I don't mind this tune, but it's not one that I'm overly fond of. You know, even I could even say if I went back and listened to the original, just by the way the music is and everything like that, I'm not going to be into it that much. The next one, though, Mr. You're a Better Man Than I, which also features Brian May of Queen fame. Great tune. This is such a good classic old school tune. And also, it's one of those songs that definitely inspired other bands, and Aerosmith is one of the ones where I chiefly can think of it. Um, Especially in the song in Aerosmith's "Living on the Edge," the one of those early lines. You know, if you can judge a wise man by the color of his skin, and then this day you're a better man than I. Um, this is there's a lot of that in here. If you can judge a man, you know, by this or by that, you know, it's a really good tune, especially for back in the day. Mystery of Being, I believe, is one of the new songs. Good tune again. I enjoyed it. Dream Within a Dream. Music by McCartney. The words were by Edgar Allan Poe. So that's really cool in its way. And I do actually dig that one. And that's actually the last song on the album I really kind of dig into. There really is. From track 4 to track 13, that's where I really dig into this album and really enjoy it. Track 14 is Happenings 10 Years Time Ago. That was alright. And track 15 is An Original Man, A Song for Keith, which was a song for the original vocalist who passed away in, I believe it was 1977. This is honestly, it's a cool album, man. Yardbird fans are definitely going to look down on it a little bit more than someone who just picked this up for the first time. I picked this up, and it never really inspired me to go out and complete more of the Yardbirds. And I think that's because the Yardbirds, I don't think they've ever done proper digital remasters of the albums, or at least not that I'm aware of. I think that was one of the reasons why I picked this up, because they'd yet to remaster anything. And that means if I'm going to go out and listen to the Yardbirds, I got to find some quality vinyl. Because if I'm not going to get a proper digital remaster from the original tapes, then it's got to be a vinyl pressing, so it's as close to the original as possible, so I can enjoy it in its proper purity. Because I do say that, you know, when you're talking about CDs, and if you remember the old gradings, you had AD or AAD, ADD, and DDD. And for those that don't know, that's analog recorded, analog mixed and produced, and then just digitally made. So basically, they took a digital copy from a copy, but didn't produce it properly for digital. And then you got the ones that were analog recorded, digitally produced, and then digitally put on the CD. And then you get the ones that were digital the whole way through, and they always had the better sound. So for me, and to this day, I can still notice that anything that was AAD, you put it in a mix with anything that's like, you know, proper digital, sounds like crap. So, you know, I definitely got to get vinyl for the Yardbirds unless I can find proper digital remaster reissues. My thoughts, my views, my opinions. What can I say? Let me know what your thoughts and views and opinions are. That is what the comment section is for. There's the like button, the subscribe button, the bell for notifications. Hit all those. And link to Patreon. Peace, love, take care.